Hey there, honey bunnies. Welcome to episode 134 of the Sovereign Storytellers podcast with your host, Michelle Wolf. The cicadas outside are so loud. I know y'all probably can't hear them, but we are in full hot summer cicada screeching in the trees mode. It's a very comforting sound. If you've never heard it, just YouTube it. Cicada, cicada. They make this chattery noise in the trees that if you grew up around it, I don't know how it is if you've never heard it and then you move to the south and there's this weird sound going on outside. I don't know if it's a pleasant experience because for me, I grew up with it, so it's a comforting noise. Being in full summer brings us to slowing down because it is too hot outside to do much of anything. So if you have to do stuff, you do it early in the morning or much later at night when the air cools off a bit, when the sun goes down. In the South, it doesn't. Like when I lived in Colorado, the sun went down and within a little bit, it was a lot cooler. But in the South, it just gets darker. It doesn't get any cooler much. But, it can be pretty pleasant. So in the slowing down, which is a concept I've been really working with this year as part of my human design experiment, this concept of waiting for invitations for projectors, waiting for a month for reflectors, or I want to include the quantum human design language, which is copyrighted by Karen Curry Parker. I have permission to use it, but let's just give appropriate credit. So projectors in that system are orchestrators, reflectors are calibrators. And the waiting, so reflectors, calibrators, a moon cycle, 28, 29 days. Projectors, waiting for invitations for the big stuff, projectors, orchestrators. Generators, manifesting generators, waiting for something that their sacral responds to, something that you notice in your environment that gets your attention and gives you a sense of yes, no. Which is your authority speaking, but it's responding to something that has come toward you or caught your attention that you've been thinking about. And then manifestors, if you're emotionally defined, you need to wait a little bit before jumping in. Make sure that you really want to. Once you see an opportunity or get that creative surge, manifestors are called initiators, generators are called alchemists, and manifesting generators are called time benders because they really do move. They really do bend time. But this concept of stillness and practicing my channeling more often and more publicly has started this thing happening where as I think about a problem, I start to see images of how it became that way, how I was conditioned to think however I think and react to life however I react. And I've shared that I have only seen with my mind's eye for a short period of time. I wasn't visual, and it's been something I've worked toward, and it's still very fascinating to me because it's probably been about a year, but it just keeps getting more and more clear. So in the seeing of these things, it has made me start to appreciate having to be still. Stillness in my energy. Not necessarily physically stillness, I'm definitely working more than I've worked in years. So I'm not still in that sense. I'm moving, I'm building, I'm creating, I'm doing all these things. But I'm talking about an energetic stillness that where things can come to you. You're in that state of waiting. I think we've talked about this before. Well, I know we have. About that alert state of listening, of giving yourself that time every day where you are still and quiet and listening. So it's very active, even though your body might be still. It's very active stillness, alert. Is this making sense? I hope. So in that alert stillness, things can come to you to respond to. And you can clearly begin to see the patterns forming around you. The hints or the sort of whisper in the breeze of an invitation coming to you, or an opportunity or something. You start to get a sense of things forming. And you get a sense of whether there's anything for you to do. I had a couple of situations this summer that felt pretty desperate to me. One of them was taken care of for me within 24 hours after I made the decision that something had to be different. The second situation I wanted to happen that same way, but the message was very clearly that I had to start the process myself. It was a little of God helps those who help themselves moment. And my guides were saying, this is what needs to happen, and you are needing to do this, and but we can't step in and do it for you in this situation. You have to be the one. But you can hear it. And I had been waiting on both of those situations and listening. Waiting and listening until the information could become clear. For me, my intuition is so soft that I have noticed I'm going too fast, that by the time I hear it, it's too late. And I've been seeing this and puzzling about it and noticing the conditioning of being raised by people who are just way faster than me. I'm slow. I know people think I'm a generator, a manifesting generator, but I'm slow. It takes me time to comprehend things. It takes me time to metabolize events. It takes me a whole lot longer to make good decisions than I ever imagined. I'm a mental projector, so I'm really more like a reflector. I really need to take a long time. And I really have to be in the right environment, physical environment, with the right people. If I'm not, it throws everything out of whack. And there are some compensatory things that I can do, but I won't thrive in a situation like that because it takes a lot of energy to keep compensating for it. So I'll give you a small example of, I was mowing the lawn, which I hate doing. I just don't love it. One day I will have a gardener and a landscape designer. So I'm mowing, and I bought last year a bunch of calico aster. They're a plant that is beautiful in the fall, and the bees love them, and I love them. And I had a bunch of them in LJ, and I miss having them. So last year I bought some, and I left them in their pot, and they're still in their pots. There's 5. But when I went to plant, there's 4. When I went to plant them, I found one in the backyard. So I already had one. So I was like, well, great. Now I've got 5. So I was making a little ring, and I left them in their pots until this year, and I still haven't planted them, and that's fine. They're about 4 years old in their little plastic pots, and they're fine. But I was mowing, and I had the thought, is that my calico aster, as I was heading toward it? And I felt the click in my body as I was running over it. So I mowed down the one native one I had that grew in the backyard by itself. I mowed it over right as my intuition was coming in, but I was moving too fast. And I was super annoyed by that. The point I'm trying to make here is the sitting in alert stillness is on the surface a ridiculously simplistic act. Like, how could that possibly help you? But I'm telling you, it helps you a ton, because at least 10 or 15 minutes a day, you're listening for the information that, hey, that's your calico aster, and you really don't want to mow it down. Or, hey, this situation that's become unbearable, you're going to have to do this one thing, and we'll take care of the rest. Or, hey, you need this new computer, but you really need to take your time and not rush order. Because when I rush ordered, I got a broken one, and it turned into a huge clusterfuck. And I still don't have a new computer. So, I mean, I'll get there. But I'm just noticing, like, this is taking me about 2 months. It's a big purchase. You know how it is with computers, or I don't know if you know this, but the last one I bought was in 2013. So I like to buy the best that I possibly can get, because it is 90% of my work day is done on the computer. So waiting for the information to come. How do you wait for an invitation to buy a computer? You listen and you notice, oh, hey, this YouTube guy I've never heard of just did a review on this new computer I'm looking at. That's an invitation to me. Other human design people might argue about it, but to me, that's an invitation. I'm sending a question out into the universe. I need this thing. My other one is on its last legs, and I like this and I like that. I'm looking here and I'm looking there. And then this is where I didn't, but I need to wait. So for generator alchemists and manifesting generator time benders, projectors, orchestrators, reflectors, calibrators, we have to wait. So even manifester / initiators have to wait. They don't have to wait as long. But we struggle with that, right? I don't want to wait. I want the thing. I want it right now. I want somebody to take care of the yard and plant all these calico asters, because I hate doing that stuff. I like the outcome, but I'm not a gardener. I don't love it. I like being with it. I don't like the mechanics of it. So we fight the waiting. But what I'm discovering this year is that there's a real satisfaction in the waiting when you get used to it, because things just start to come to you on a silver platter. Things just get delivered. A problem happens, and normally where you'd freak out about it, you go into waiting. Oh, I wonder how this is going to get fixed, because this thing happened and I don't have the money for it. I wonder what's going to happen here. And you go into waiting and active listening, to energetic listening. And for me, this happened with a tree that fell down, and some what I felt like were exceptionally expensive quote, but also, what do I know? And I want to be paid what I'm worth, or what my work, the kind of value I deliver. And so I want the tree guy to get enough money too for his family. But I was like, damn, it's going to cost me what? I didn't say that out loud, thank God. I was like, oh, well, okay, well, can I get your card? And I'm going to need a few days. But I didn't freak out about it because I went into waiting. The reason I was able to do that is from practice. I promise I'm getting to a point here that applies to you. This whole podcast, I know I've been talking about myself now for 14 minutes. But the reason I was able to slip into, oh, wow, that's a lot more than I thought. And that in my head that day. I was like, that means I get to pay for a tree and my computer gets kicked down further down the road again. Oh, that sucks, And I was like, well, I wonder how this is going to play out. I wonder what's going to happen here. I wasn't asking for help. I wasn't screaming out for God, come fix this. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Somebody help me. I was like, oh, this is disappointing. And, oh, God, I wonder what we're going to do here. I wonder what's going to happen here. These things have to happen. Eventually, the computer has to be replaced. Not today, but the tree has to get out of the yard or, I'll be looking at tickets from the city. I wonder what's going to happen here. And I noticed I didn't have a lot of emotion about it, which is radically different for me. Now, I'll do another episode on some EFT tapping I've been doing, which I've never really benefited from, but doing it the way Karen has restructured it, it's just enough of a different tweak that it's making a huge difference for me. It's the EFT I think other people have experienced, and I've been like, what are you talking about? That tapping stuff is garbage. I'll just go straight for EMDR, thank you. And I do think EMDR is far more powerful, but you have to go to a therapist for that, or you should. If y'all are doing that on your own, that's risky. Also, please don't let an untrained person do EMDR on you. It can take you down some dark paths that, unless you're with a skilled person, it's extremely painful, and it's unnecessarily painful, and you can create more trauma trying to come back out of it. So anyway, so that's a piece of it, why I wasn't reacting, because I had just done, like 4 days earlier, a very profound EFT tapping session, which I'll do another episode about that. But I still didn't feel good. I wasn't overwhelmed, and I wasn't slipping into my familiar bad feeling place of gloom, doom, and despair, like my Eeyore zone. And it was so radically different for me that I called a colleague and friend, and I was like, this thing is happening, and I'm really bummed because I was right on the edge of getting that new computer. And now I've got to figure out how to fill a little bit in here to get this tree taken care of. And I'm not freaked out about it. I'm just wondering, how in the world am I going to do this? I wonder how. Like, how are we going to do this? Everybody, Team Invisible, me, how are we going to make this happen? And I was just calmly talking it out because projector orchestrators really have to talk things out. That's how we get our intuition. Our intuition comes from activating our ears and our sound, and this person I know will just let me talk and not interfere or comment or offer any opinions or anything. So as I was talking, it came out that she'd been considering and wanting to sign up for my one-on-one package, which is $2,500 for 6 sessions. Now, but she hadn't mentioned it. The timing hadn't been right or whatever. So then I'm calling and I can hear clearly, and my energy is clear and her energy is clear, and we enter into a coaching contract, which I'm like, okay, well, there's the tree. Still not the computer, but, a little extra money to live on and take care of the tree. Well, the tree guy never sent me the proposal. And that disturbs me. I feel like if from the very beginning you don't do what you say you're going to do, then it's usually going to be problematic. That's been my experience with contractors. If they aren't on the ball right from the start, it's just a hassle. So I was like, all right, well, let me call this other guy who did some tree work out here last year. Call that guy, and they're like, yep, we're going to call you back this afternoon or definitely tomorrow. Didn't hear anything. So on Sunday, so this was like Friday, they were supposed to call me Friday night or then on Saturday. Didn't hear from him. So Sunday I'm talking to my son-in-law, and he was like, wait a minute, we can totally just do this. And I was like, I'll give you $500. And he was like, just make a car payment, because they just had to buy a new car. He's like, just make the first car payment in August, and we'll just do it and get it done. So I get the tree work. They get a car payment, and I'm still shopping for that computer. That's not the way things usually go for me. As I've shared with y'all, my money has been my nemesis and my greatest teacher. Things working out clickety-click like that is not generally how that goes. But I am not generally calm and listening when things are going wrong either. I'm usually fighting despair, and there's a lot of tears and tantrums and projector bitterness, which is ugly. All right, so there's that story. I believe all of that was able to work itself out because I kept my energy clear and I made space for solutions. That active listening makes space for solutions. When our energy is, and it's no blame. We can't help it until we can help it, right? Until we've tipped over the edge and we've consistently done our work long enough to start harvesting the results of it, which for me is this kind of logical, well, gee, I wonder what the hell's going to happen here kind of response to something happening, instead of like poverty, PTSD, freak out. Until we get there, we're not there, okay? So it's not a blame thing. But when our energy is chaotic because we are tossed into PTSD, poverty response, or we are tossed into our childhood stories, and our nervous system is not trained to take a pause and go, okay, what's going to happen here? I'm finally in the place where my nervous system automatically is responding differently. That takes time and practice and diligence. And I hope to God y'all are willing to put in that time and to practice diligently, because that kind of reward is worth it, to me anyway. Okay, so all of this is leading up to the stillness, creating deeper and deeper, more awakeness, more awareness of incoherent energy. Incoherent. Yeah, fragmented. Yeah, it was like uncohesive. That's not a word. Incohesive. That's not a word. When your energy is not cohesive, when it's rattled and raggedy and fragmented and freaked out, there's no space for solutions to come. There's no waiting for something to respond to. There's no room in that kind of waiting, there's no room for an aligned invitation to show up. There's no room to hang out for a month before you make a big decision. Because, and to have the awareness that a month of waiting will bring you if you have a ton of open space, like a reflector calibrator or a mental projector. There's no room. It can't happen. It's a struggle. And when something happens, it's hard to maintain, or it's not quite right, or it just kind of is a Band-Aid. It's not an actual solution. When you understand that waiting in the stillness and that alert listening pays off that well, it gets a little easier to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to give this a try for 6 months and see what happens. You know, there is a reward in it. I was doing it because I didn't see any other way, and it was keeping me sane. But I'm finding out that there is an enormous bucket of rewards showing up that I didn't know. I'm seeing my behavior in the moment. I'm seeing when my energy fragments and I'm able to catch it and do something about it. I'm seeing the way my conditioning plays out as it's playing out, and I'm able to intervene and say, oh, no, we don't do it this way anymore. Now let's go get our shit together. Okay, so that's part 1 of this episode. Part 2 is when your energy through these processes, it's a process. As your energy starts to become more cohesive, and you feel it when you start to fracture, and you stop it and you pull yourself back together, and then you fracture and you come back together, fracture, come back together, it gets easier and faster to stay in coherency. When that happens, the space around you is empty and not empty. It's, to me, it feels like how the void is described. It's a void, and it's also pregnant with potential. Wild amounts of potential. And the potential that is realized is based on how we're shaping the void or the field, however you want to think of it. We're shaping it with the way we see things, with the way we think about things, with the way we feel about things, which is based on how we were taught to feel about them, what was modeled for us, what we learned from our peer group and our culture, what we take in from media our whole life long, if you were born at, after media became a thing. We are literally shaping our reality in those ways. We are shaping it because we only see what we can see. Until there's that distance where you can see, oh my gosh, this person did that. And now I feel my energy wanting to do that dance because that's familiar. And I say no to that. So let's go do something else. And let's soothe the body who's like, no, wait, we have to do the dance or something bad will happen. And we go, oh, no, we actually don't have to. We actually don't. We're actually free. So let's go do something different and think about and make space for a solution to this ongoing issue. It's very calm. It's very peaceful. It meets those childhood needs of someone coming in and taking care of things. And very often, even if you grew up in a good home, there's times where the adults just can't. They can't be fixed, or they don't know how, or they don't know, or, things happen like that. And then we make a story out of it, as we know, and then it becomes our life experience. But we can see those stories playing out. We can swoop in and do for ourselves what was not done in the past and teach ourselves in the present that we are going to be taken care of. Even if taking care of only means a reminder that it's okay. No matter what's happening, it's okay. No matter if this is going to unalive you, it's still okay. You're an eternal being. It's not to say it's all peaches and cream, but it's easy. Easy. You do what there is in front of you to do. You notice when you're drowning in the collective energy, and you decide, do you want to swim in that? Some days, yeah. Or if you need to consciously have a talk with yourself about it, some days that is the best option. All right, so that's part 2. Part 3 of this is when your energy rises up from the earth. And those of you who've taken classes with me, we for years we do the Taurus style of energy movement, where you bring it up. If you don't know what that is, just go Google Taurus and look at the images. It will clear it up. Your body has a torus shape. The earth has a torus shape. We're talking about energy, electrical energy that can be measured. It's not a made-up thing. And it goes, so I have my clients in my groups. We bring the energy up through the feet, through the body, past the heart, out the top of the head, down the arms. And it fountains out all around you, going back to the earth and up through your feet and your spine, your central channel, your tailbone. And all of this becomes bigger and stronger, and it's moving up, out the top, down and around, up, out the top, down and around. And it's the way I keep from getting exhausted when I'm working all day with clients. And you're running that energy, you can't get tired, because you're your own Energizer Bunny. You're your own Duracell Copper Top. You're making your own energy. There's some Tesla connections here too that I'm not clear on, but you can jump down. Speaking of rabbits, you can go down that rabbit hole if you want. It's a self-generating, never-ending personal battery pack. And so your body has it, and you're just becoming aware of it and flowing it all the way throughout the top of your head. And your heart, there's like a mini donut around your heart. So you've got your big torus shape, and you've got this smaller one inside of all of this that is torus shaping itself around your heart. Bottom of your heart, out the top, making this donut shape. It's like you're the center of the donut. Donuts. Oh, thank God I don't live close to a Krispy Kreme donut shop. Okay, so I was making some connections with that tonight, and I was like, oh, I got to stop and make a podcast episode, because this is the end of codependency. This is the end of the interfering types of healing we've been taught, even in the energy world. This idea that we can push energy into something, or that we can pull energy out of people, that we can get in there and do things. It brings us back to this attunement, healing through attunement, not healing through tinkering. I should probably write a book. How to heal through attunement. How to stop tinkering in 7 easy steps. We don't need to tinker in other people's energy. This is where new therapists go wrong. This is where new coaches go wrong. It's okay. Everybody does it. We want to get in there and put our fingers in the pie and fix the shit. We want to get in there and tinker around. And new therapists can get very anxious because they don't know how to tinker. And they're constantly having to say, you aren't doing the tinkering. Your client will tell you what hurts. You do not have to go find it yourself. They'll tell you. Even if all they tell you is, I don't know how to tell you what's wrong. I can't figure it out. All right, so you start right there. The best healing comes from presence that you can attune to. And when you are in that state, there is no codependency. There is no being addicted to a person. There is no painful seeking, constant looking for a relationship to the level of obsessiveness. And there's this empty ache inside that we're trying to fill with another person, with a relationship. And of course, our culture really pumps that up because that concept sells. And we love those stories, right? It's okay. It's okay to love those kinds of stories. But it's not sustainable, it's not viable, and it's ultimately not satisfying. We have to be able to access that inner battery that is so deeply satisfying, because then we stop looking for or demanding of the things around us or people around us to entertain us or fill some sort of gap. We stop trying to save people from their natural consequences. We let them experience their natural consequences. We stand by and be supportive. We're not mocking or contemptuous about it, but it's just natural consequences. It's just cause and effect. When you take these actions, it leads to these potential consequences. And there's no arguing with that. If I never get out of bed, my body will deteriorate, and over time I'll die fairly quickly. People who sort of take to their bed a lot of times die fairly soon. Your body has to be moved. It has to be up and about. You can't just lay around all the time. When we are in the stillness and in that state of energy, simply going to the grocery store, you are offering the opportunity for healing everybody you pass by. You're standing in the produce looking for that one best lemon, and the person stacking the produce next to you has an opportunity for healing. You don't know them. You don't know what their suffering is. You don't have to know. You are a living, breathing, healing machine walking through the world, healing offering the opportunity for healing to every single person that crosses your path or crosses your thoughts. Because distance healing is the same. People wonder how you can experience distance Reiki. Well, I'll invite you to book a Forest Reiki session for yourself and experience it, because you will feel it. Even if you don't feel it, you'll see things change. Insert commercial here. That is michellewolf.as.me/Forest Reiki. 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 Is that right? Forest Reiki. You know when you have spelled a word forever and ever, and then you try to spell it and you can't? I hope that's the right spelling. Anyway, end commercial. So to circle back, to bring this back to where we started, that is the state where things to respond to will be flowing at you so quickly, your sacral is going to have a hell of a fun time saying yes and no to them. You're a projector, orchestrator, you're going to get so many invitations, you're going to have to really watch it to take your time to decide which ones you say yes to and which ones aren't in alignment with you, no matter how much that other person wants to collaborate with you. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and you're the one that makes that decision, not them. And when your energy is on fire and lit up, you are seen. So get ready for that. And then the invitations come, and you get to practice boundaries, and you get to practice making mistakes, especially if you have a line 3 and saying yes to things and finding out, boy, you should not have said yes to that one. You get to experience having your authority tell you exactly what to do and being like, nah, I think I'm going to do it this other way. And experience, guess what? Natural consequences. So if you think back to the previous episodes, which if you haven't heard them, listen back 2 or 3 earlier, because the message from Being the Gang has been this cohesion. Moving through the world, not in one state and then in another state, but being in a state. Well, sometimes we are in a state, right? But being in that cohesive state where you are living, breathing, conduit for healing energy with no effort. You're not reaching out to try and fix someone. You're not even reaching out to offer to help someone. Because if an opportunity to help someone is needed, it will come to you, and you'll ask your body and you'll know whether to get involved or not. What greater gift, and you don't have to go to school, and you don't need a certificate. You don't have to do a damn thing except practice silence and stillness for sometimes a long period of time. So there's that. But in the silence and the stillness, if you need specific healing, you'll be guided to what you need. And you'll feel, oh, I think this is attractive to me now. Let me look a little further into it. Oh, I was never interested in this before. Let me take another look at it now, since it's right here in my awareness. You'll be guided to the processes that will efficiently help you move through. So it's not like all of a sudden nobody needs any healing work. Nobody needs to work with anyone. We can't see ourselves clearly, so we do have to work with people. But we want to work with the right people at the right time so that our investments are really helping the person who's helping you, and also getting you the exact help you need. It's all very efficient. To me, that's abundance and prosperity. They're getting the income, I'm getting the healing. It's a nice exchange. Everything feels good. Even when it feels bad, it still feels good. You know what I mean? Like you're going through some shit, but it feels appropriate. It's good. Nobody ends up re-traumatized or ripped off. So it's not that you don't ever do that, but you do it in such a different way. And if you're lucky, then the person you're working with is really, they've got some tools, yeah, but the bigger part of what's happening is that space holding. That not only just holding space, but filling that space with freedom and potential for whatever needs to happen to happen. Really letting go of any concept that you are to do a thing to this person, that they have now given you money and you have to produce a particular result. Now, we're not talking about other fields where if you get paid, you really do have to demonstrate results. We're talking about energy land. So it's just letting go of this responsibility that if they don't get well, it's somehow your fault or you're a shitty healer. It's letting go of this idea that you have the power to get in there and tinker and fix and remove or install. It's really stepping into this deeply powerful oneness and trusting that that space you're holding will bring into it the solutions you're looking for, the solutions your people need, the answers to your living situations, your income situations. But we don't trust that they'll come, right? Because we've been taught, oh, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Don't, if you're sitting around in the stillness, you're a lazy fuck or whatever, and you're useless. And, you know, the very thing that would give us the most power is the thing we're most strongly discouraged from engaging in, because it will sink you right into your power. And then you really don't need to go spend $50 for a bottle of eye cream because you feel bad that you're getting wrinkles. So somebody's going to miss out on that sale. It is the most powerful healing. If you look at the history of Reiki, go read Franz Steiner. I'm not even going to spell his name. Go to the International House of Reiki, or just go get his book, The Heart of Reiki, which I ask all my Force Reiki students to read. Not all of them do, but it's a powerful book, because the history of it was you got your attunement by sitting next to Dr. Usui. You didn't go through a class. You didn't get downloadable PDFs. You just went and sat in his energy. And he set a tone of energy. And your body could experience what that energy felt like. And from then on, you had your touchstone. You had your home base. Like, oh, this energy doesn't feel like what I felt like when I was sitting next to Dr. Usui. So let me go back in time in my head, in my energy, to that tone. Let me bring that tone to my space and this person that is needing some healing. And let me hold that tone and get out of the way. Their body will take what they can take. Their mind will perceive what they are capable of perceiving. They will get what they're able to get. You can't give it to them, just like you can't give me air to breathe. We can't stand next to each other and you give me air. It's all around us. We can stand next to each other, and if you are in a state of rarefied air, I get opportunity to breathe that air too. If you've done the work and your air is cohesive and clear and powerful, I get opportunity to breathe that just because I'm standing next to you and a part of me is willing to. So much of healing is based on the person's willingness, which is not, and their level of willingness is almost always not what they think it is. We mentally think we're ready for something, and the other parts of us are going, no fucking way. We are not doing this. And the tendency is for the healer to get blamed. Not that it's never that, but a lot of times it's that you thought you were ready for something, but your subconscious ain't having it. But as the person holding the space, you don't have to take responsibility for that. As the person looking for the next relationship, wanting to date, you don't have to take responsibility for finding or being found. Your responsibility is to get cohesive. And how do you get cohesive? By sitting down. All right, you can stand if you want to stand. You can dance if you want to dance. But keep the silence. Keep the silence. If you have ADHD and just think you cannot bear to sit still, even though you do sit still at stoplights, I've got it. We've all got it. We're all on the spectrum somewhere. Stand up and sway. Have no sound, but stand up and just let your body rock back and forth, side to side. Listening. You don't even have to close your eyes. You just become alert. You just become like you're listening. You're just feeling the power in your body and getting a bead on how much awareness can you hold. How much energy is flowing? How cohesive are you? And you can ask yourself, how do I become more solid? How do I become more of the torus shape? How do I allow a sense of, how do I allow more energy to flow through me so that I am that radiant light in the world? That radiant power source that people are drawn to, and then my body gets to say yes or no. Do you date them? Do you marry them? Do you work with them? Do you work for them? It comes to you. There is zero effort involved. Zero. This is hard. We are used to working for stuff. We are used to even working in our healing practices. That's why if you don't have this down, you end up exhausted after a day of working with clients. If you're exhausted after working with clients, you really need to get this handled, because you're meant to feel better after a day of working with clients, or at least as good as you started. or the normal kind of end of the day tired, not crushing fatigue that some people experience, or feeling hollowed out or drained. This fixes that for you because you're not trying. You're holding an energy and letting them participate in your presence, whether they're physically in front of you or 1,000 miles away on the other side of the world. All right, I'm going to stop there because that's a long way to get to where we got to. I also don't know that I've done the best possible job of explaining it, and also, whatever. My job is to deliver it. Your job is to do with it whatever the hell you want to. And y'all know if it gets more clear later, I'll come back and say, hey, you know that episode 134 where I wasn't quite sure I was getting clear? I think I'm more clear now. Let's talk about it again. Okay. It's okay. It's all okay. So, again, the message for how to survive and thrive in this new earth, if you want to call it that, in this constantly changing, turbulent environment, which is going to continue for a while, if you are cohesive and holding space and listening, it's okay. You're aware of it. It's not devastating you. You're aware of it and you're clear. It's clear to you what to do. Sometimes what to do is take a nap. Sometimes what to do is say a prayer. Sometimes what to do is run for office. You'll know. You'll know. This state of union among all the parts of you, I wish I could put it in a bottle and just send it to you so you could feel it. I'm guessing if you've listened this long, because we're on 52 minutes now, you're ready for it. If you haven't moved into it yet, you will. Okay, so stop here if you don't want to hear any business stuff. The business stuff coming up is, of course, Force Reiki training is available all the time. It's a DIY class, but with a live, ongoing Facebook support group. The Less Hustle, More Human Design, where we take your human design and we get your work out in the world, or get your projects done, or get your health back on track, is enrolling now, and we start July 15th. Which is a Friday. I don't know why I put it on a Friday, but we're on a Friday from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, I think. That's on the website, thatmichellewolf.com/less hustle. If you want a reading from Be in the Gang, it is michellewolf.as.me/channeling. That is an in-person reading. We meet on Zoom, and we'll channel from them or any of your crossed over loved ones that happen to show up. If you want a recorded reading, it is, I don't remember. So just go to michellewolf.as.me and look in the list of things that you can sign up for. There's a recorded reading and there's an in-person reading. Oh, I think it's Crystal Report. Anyway, you'll figure it out. You know where to find me if you have any questions anyway. You can always go to thatmichellewolf.com and book a 15-minute discovery call where you can say, I know I want to work with you, but I don't know which of all these offerings to pick. Then we can talk about, I can help you figure that out if you're ready. New website, planethumandesign.com. For any kind, it's human design sessions, but I've broken them out into elements. Go to the page and you'll figure it out. It just helps you get some clarity on which kind of session you need, and that link can be used for any kind of session. If it's a drop-in session, you've already done some work, but you want to look at a particular gate or a particular channel, you can hop in and we can do that. You want to open your intuitive gifts. Go to that site and select Spirit in the element, and we'll work on that. So lots of options available, and also podcast is free. The Human Design Facebook group is free. It's Practical Human Design for Success. You can search that out, or you can enter facebook.com/groups/Practical Human Design. All right, that's all the business stuff. I'm going to let you go for now. And until I come back at you, think less, feel more. Please step into the silence. Please start to listen in these ways, because I want you to thrive through these topsy-turvy times we're in. I want you to thrive. I'm starting to thrive. I want you to thrive too. I want you to thrive. Okay, I'm a little invested. I want us all to have everything we need. Okay, we'll talk to you later.